Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Maria Gonçalves podcast. I'm your host, Maria Gonçalves, and today we have a special guest and a dear friend, Ydaiber. Did I say that correct?
Ydaiber, almost.
Ydaiber.
We've been
Oh
friends
no,
forever, but still is hard. I know.
we got it, we got it. And two, because I always get this question, so I'm gonna start right off the bat. You are the one that has inspired me for my microphone with the little pink poofy thing. So now you guys know because I always talk about you. So now
Oh,
you
I
can
love
put a
that.
face to the puffy microphone. So welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. So let me just let you guys know a little bit about her. So today we have Ydaiber as an actress, voiceover artist, a creative and manifestation coach, human design reader, and founder of Rekindle Your Light, which is a podcast that is in the top 2%. It is also done in Spanish, correct?
Some of the episodes, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily translated literally episode by episode, but I have guests in Spanish and guests in English just because, that's who I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Perfect. Maybe one day I'll have the courage to do some in Portuguese. We'll
Yeah.
see. You never know. Okay, so she helps multi-passionate creatives move from self-doubt to flow through a blend of practical tools, spiritual wisdom, and her real-world experience in the entertainment industry. So I'm so grateful that you are here today. And just so you guys know, we were talking a little bit off screen, off the camera. And I want to talk about manifestation because you are so passionate about it. And I feel like as the new year is approaching, yes, people, New Year's almost here. You guys are probably already thinking vision boards and how do I manifest? And I know there's a lot of myths out there. If I just say enough affirmations, it will happen. Or maybe I said, I don't know, 100 affirmations a day, and why isn't it happening? So,
Yes.
if you could clear all those myths for us.
Yes, I think that why isn't it happening is probably the most repeated question I get. And I think it comes down to different things. For me, manifestation started when I was very young. And I think my first access to that word was not until much later in life. I didn't know that that's what it was, right? Simply, I noticed that when I was very intentional about the things that I wanted, and when I was very clear about the vision, and when I was very excited about the outcome, things were magically happening. And people would always tell me, like, oh my God, you're so good at, setting a goal and then poof, happens, right? And I'm like, huh, how? Like, what am I doing differently, right? That allows me to have access to these things. There's a joke around my friends that I say, oh, I want to attend an event, right? Let's say there's a conference, and I'm like, ooh, I really would love to attend to that conference. And then I look at the price, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I don't want to necessarily invest on that right now. And then somehow I end up winning a ticket. It happens over and over and over again. So for the last couple of years, I've been attending like these podcasting conferences. I recently attended an amazing event a couple of weeks ago in Huntington Beach that I was sponsored to attend for free. So it's kind of like a running joke around my friends and family because they're like, okay, so what event did you go? I'm like, I don't know yet. We'll see. And and I think that that playful energy around it has also been very helpful for me to attract these things. But there is a method, right? And I think there's different approaches and different ways that people go about manifestation. And for me, the way that I approach it as a coach is through four different steps. The first step is what I call release, right? I think that whenever we have stuff in the way that is preventing us from getting what we want without knowing most of the time, because most of the time it's subconscious, then we're already getting stuck before we even start. So we can have all the clear vision. We can create all the vision boards we want. But if we don't release what is preventing us from creating or from attracting that, then we're not going to get there. So what do I mean by release? I mean, then there's a lot of different techniques for this, right? But it could be through breath work. It could be through I'm particularly a practitioner of the emotion code. It could be through Reiki. It could be through somatic work. I mean, there's way it could be through working with a medium, right? But it's like
Mhm.
what is attached to our cells, to our bodies that we don't even know that is preventing us from getting out there. So that's the first thing I do. I work on what do I need to release? What do my clients need to release? And the approach is going to vary based on where they're at, what they believe on, what works for them the best, and what I intuitively know also. And then we go into a phase of reprogramming. Because once you figure out like, okay, we're gonna get rid of all this trauma or we're gonna get rid of all these bad ideas, then we move into reprogramming. And we do that. That's when the affirmations come in, right? It's not that's why
Yeah.
it's not the first thing that comes through. But you can do mantras, you can do affirmations, but all of that has to be connected with a very strong muscle of trust.
Yes.
If you do not believe fully that this is achievable, we're not doing anything here. So that's part of the whole first phase of as we are clearing things out is like we got to be building that trust. And the easiest way sometimes is building it with little things, right? With manifesting, tickets to go to the movies for free, or I'm really looking for this one yellow jacket that I need because that's my favorite color. And you walk into the store, and the first thing you see is that yellow jacket. It's like, oh, it's not coincidence, right? The universe starts rewarding you with these little things, and you start noticing the angel numbers, or you start noticing the synchronicities, you start noticing the casual text from somebody who you haven't spoken in years, right? So it's all these things that start moving as you're starting creating your vision and your intentions. And then the next phase is when we go into what I call rekindle, because my business is called Rekindle Your Light for a reason. But this is when we work in our vibration, in our energy. It's like your frequency has to be at the right vibration in order to receive. So if you are, again, repeating all the affirmations, but every day you're waking up like, ugh, I have to go to work, I have to do this, and you're complaining, and you're annoyed, right? Or you're ungrateful, then again, you're repelling things instead of attracting them. So one of the most magnetic things that you can do in general in life to attract whatever you want is to work on how to raise your vibes. And that sounds so LA and so cliche, but think
Yeah.
about it, right? It's like we need to put ourselves in a space of receiver. We need to be ready to get that, to open the space to receive things. So that's why when we're clearing space, sometimes even clearing the space could be a physical thing. It could be clearing your closet, it could be clearing your computer, it could be clearing your inbox, it could be clearing your wardrobe, right? And again, somehow you start noticing that as you open space, things just start to show up for you. So that third phase of rekindling could vary again based on what resonates with you. But for me, sometimes it has to do with music, sometimes it has to do with being in nature, sometimes with traveling, right? A lot of amazing things tend to
Yeah.
happen when we travel that we're like, especially in the acting world, as an actor, it's like it never fails. I go on a trip and I booked an acting job, and then I have to figure out how am I going to make it happen. It's like 90% of the time, if I don't book a job, for sure, I know I have to take my equipment because I'm going to have an audition while I'm away, and a good one usually. So it's like, oh, of course, I'm not thinking about it. I'm not holding tight into the goal. I'm just allowing things to happen. And
Yeah.
then that's when that last step comes in, right? The realization of the goal, the realization of the manifestation. And it has to do with that allowing, that surrendering, which is probably one of the toughest phases of any process that we do because we want it yesterday. We have this immediacy of like, but what happened? Why my manifestation hasn't showed up yet? And I'm doing all the work and I'm doing all this. You got to
Hmm.
allow it to happen. You truly have to, again, going back to the trust, you gotta know that this is happening, not at your own timeline. It's gonna happen. But in the meantime, you gotta keep living your life with joy,
Yeah.
with with happiness, with grace, with gratitude. And the more you do that, the more these things literally becomes a cycle. So I would say, I know I'm oversimplifying the process, but in general, those are like the four steps that I go through with myself, with my clients, and usually there's some steps that you have to double down because you're getting stuck. Sometimes you need a little bit of reinforcement, especially with the trust muscle. You need to
Yeah.
see, you need to you have to believe it before you see it. And
Yeah.
and we've been taught the opposite, right? So it's like, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it in my bones that it's coming. So getting to that step many times needs a lot of doubling down. So yeah, so that's kind of like my process of manifestation.
I love it. I find like even as you're talking, because I too try to manifest, not try, I do manifest things for myself. And then I look back at the end of the year because I think it's so important. We always forget to look back and be like, oh my God, look what I actually manifested last year for myself. I may not have manifested like 100 things on my vision board, but man, those two things that I did manifest, those were the best out of the 100 things that I put. Not that I put 100 things. I don't even think a
Hmm.
100 things could fit. But you know what I mean? Like you take a look back because I find sometimes what happens and I'll hear people's like we're manifesting and then we're like, oh, but I didn't get the other thing. Oh, and my life really sucks because I didn't get XYZ. And it's like if you just take a moment to step back and the gratitude that you're talking about and look at all the things you did create. Like
Hmm.
if we just take a moment, we're like, wow. And then I think it's on Instagram. I don't know. I saw it somewhere and it was like your old self dreamed of this moment in time in your life of where
Yes.
you're like, oh, I just have this. But like 2 years ago, that was on your vision board. That's all you wanted. And then you had it. And now you don't even realize that your old self is like, wow, throwing the biggest party ever. Because we
Which is
forget that.
such an important point because it brings us back to we cannot wait for the thing to be happy. We have to
Yeah.
be happy before the thing because at the end of the day, the thing is going to make you happy for a moment, but it's fleeting, it's going to go away. So even, even for those people who are trying to manifest a partner, right, that we're thinking more a long-term thing. Sure, that person might make you happy and you probably are going to experience a lot of fun times and beautiful memories with this person. But at the end of the day, if you're not working on yourself, if you're not finding fulfillment and happiness and joy within yourself, that is going to be fleeting too. So
Mm.
we have to feel it for ourselves. We cannot be depending on the external thing for us to, oh, look, now that I manifested it, I'm happy. Yeah, for how long?
Yeah.
How long is it going to last? 2 days, maybe, if you're lucky. Even when you get the house of your dreams, how long is it going to last? The feeling, not the house is there, but the feeling. How long are you going to be excited for? Are you able to walk in through those doors day after day, after you're exhausted from work, after you're dealing with your kids, whatever it is, year after year, and still every day be like, ah, I am so lucky I'm in the house of my dreams? No, there's a moment that you're going to take it for granted. So
Yeah.
it's that reminder of like, okay, so that's why it's not about the thing. It's about living in that state of gratitude consistently, in that state of receivership consistently, in that state of giving also. For me, giving is another practice that has proven over and over and over again to be the quickest path to karma and manifestation. And I don't do it with that intention. I don't ever
Yeah.
go out to give with a let me see what's in for me. I don't do it that way. But
No.
the universe rewards me in a way that I'm just like, oh, oh, I see the connection, Huh, thank you. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to give my time, my service, my money, whatever it is. And now it's coming back to me in different ways or in bigger ways.
Yeah. I like that you brought that up because I remember this is going way back like 30 years ago. And I remember when we used to give, it would be like, well, what are they going to give you? And it
Mm,
was that tit for tat thing.
hmm.
And then I remember meeting someone and they're like, no, you just give. You have no expectation to receive. And I was like, really? I think I
Hmm.
was a teenager back then, like early
Mm,
20s. It was like, but I gave, why aren't they giving back to me? And they're like, no, no, you got it wrong, Maria. It's like you give because you do it because out of the goodness of your heart with zero expectation. And you know what? When I had that awareness and I was like in my early 20s, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And
hmm.
then I did that, and it's so freeing. It is
Yeah.
so freeing, but let me tell you, it threw people off because people are like, well, I have to give back to you now. And it was like, I feel like I'm in a Sheldon episode for the Christmas gift giving. I don't know if you ever saw
Mm.
that with
I
Penny.
know. No, I did not.
But it's like, but you gave me a gift. Now I have to give you a gift. And it's like, no, you just give. I love that you brought that up and reminded us that and giving doesn't mean money because a lot of people think like I can't afford it, so I can't give. It's like give your time. Listen, like
Hmm.
what are other ways people can give you, Dabber, to balance that out?
One of the best advices that I have ever gotten was someone who said to me, whenever you're feeling stuck, whenever you're feeling in a space of desperation, like nothing is happening, I'm just like, yeah, nothing is manifesting, nothing is coming through, like what's going on with my life? What if you turn it around and put yourself out there and offer assistance to someone else? So I've done this many times. I haven't done it for a while, but I used
Yeah.
to do literally 1 to 3 people per day. And I think I did it for 21 days, checking in with people and offering myself for what do you need? What are you at? How can I support you? I think we experience, you and I experienced a lot of this when we were doing the podcasting course, where,
Yes.
and I was not working at the moment. So for me, it was very easy to offer assistance. How can I help you? What are you stuck with in the process? Can I help you with the tech? Can I help you with the title? Can I help you with your notes? Can I help you with being a guest? Right?
Yeah.
The more I did that, I mean, till this day, Maria, that's why we're friends, right? Like, because there was this
Absolutely.
natural giving and receiving and community and no expectation, simply being there out of support. So
Yes.
now with the increase of voice notes, I feel that instead of sending a text for me, it feels good to record a quick message and say, hey, I just literally did it yesterday for a friend of mine who's going through a really bad breakup. And we're not very close, but I saw that she posted very vulnerably on Facebook. And I felt called to, instead of replying to the Facebook message, I just left her a quick voice note. And I said, hey, just wanted to check in. I can imagine what you're going through. And hey, here for you, whatever the message was. The point is just taking that quick time to acknowledge somebody's ache. I
Yeah.
know sometimes it's easier to pretend you didn't see it because it's heavy, especially when somebody loses someone else. When it comes to grief, it tends to be a very heavy subject, and people don't know how to say, what to say,
Yeah.
how to approach the subject. And they have no idea how meaningful these little things can make a big difference. So that's one. And with everything that is going on, not to get political, but with everything that is going on in the United States right now, for me, it's very important to find a way to give back to the community. So something that I did was I offered at the nonprofit organization that I work with part time. I offered the staff to do a sound healing session for them.
Oh,
I
nice.
was just like, hey
Nice.
guys, I know we're all very stressed out. I know it's very the environment is very charged right now. We're all very stressed out about what's going on. So why don't we just get, half an hour. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna give you this. I had zero expectations, right? I just did it because I wanted everybody to take a breath together.
Yeah.
So those are the initiatives, right? It's like, how can I be of service in the way that I know how to give up, that I can be of service, right? Some people might feel better attending protests. Some people might feel better writing signs or being the warriors behind the keyboard, right? Everybody has a strength. So what is yours? So for
Yeah.
me, it's that kind of service and that kind of also one-on-one relationship of like, hey, I noticed that you were not at work today. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
It goes such a long way. And I think that's why I've been able to cultivate, like you and I were talking a little bit about this. It's like, oh, you have a lot of fans. And I'm like, I think that's why. I think it's because I genuinely care about every single person that chooses to be in my environment. I want to know how, how truly do you feel? And I pay it back by just acknowledging them, leaving them a quick message, checking in about the thing they told me 2 months ago, so it goes such a long way. So it's those little tiny acts of kindness.
Yeah. Oh, I will say because I've been following you forever and I am a big fan of you. Uh, but you're so authentic and you're so real. And I'm so grateful for those voice notes
Mm,
because I'm the first one to say, I'm so lazy to type because
yeah.
I find I could type like for half an hour and I'm like, wait, that half hour typing I could say in the 3 minute voice note. I'm going to say the
Yes.
3 minute voice note. And it's just, I love hearing people's voices.
It makes such a big difference. I literally
Yeah.
saw somebody who posted today complaining about that, saying that you have to do something with, like, oh, you're making it sound like your time is more important by leaving a voice note because you don't have the time to type or something. And I'm like, well, again, everything depends on perspective and intention. And if you choose to receive it that way, it's not my position to change your mind around that. But the way that I see it is, first, you're putting it and you're letting the person listen to whenever they have the time. So I'm
Yeah.
not disrupting your day by making a phone call that you can probably answer and then making you feel guilty that you have to call me back. But instead, I'm just like, hey, whenever you have a chance, just listen to this, right? It's there.
Yeah.
I took the time that I thought I could invest into our relationship, right? And then the tone makes such a big difference because I can
Yes.
write the same thing, and to me, maybe because I'm an actor, maybe because I do voiceover work, for me, the tone is what actually matters the most. It's not so much what you say, it's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
And you can be assertive if you need to be, right? Because sometimes not every voice message that you leave is necessarily to uplift somebody. Maybe sometimes it's to, like, hey, did I understand this correctly? And I've done it, and I
Yeah.
and I expect or hope that the person on the other side is capable of giving that back, giving that response back, so that I'm like, oh, now that I'm listening it from your point of view, I can digest it, I can process it, I can understand it. But when I read it on just words, it could be so cold and so detached. Again,
Yeah.
maybe it's a personal choice, but I just I love doing that. I love having that type of exchange with my friends. And yeah, I call them mini podcasts. I try to not make them very long, but I do try to. It's my way to stay present in my friends' lives.
Yeah. I love voice notes. If you guys want to send us voice notes, feel free to. I love the sound of people's voices. I think it's just beautiful. Maybe it's a Portuguese thing because we love to talk and talk and talk. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a podcaster thing, but I love voices. I think it's so beautiful. And I think too, voice notes are beautiful, and this is just on a side note, like even after the passing of my dad, the one thing when I would talk to people, everybody's like, I listen to the old voice notes
Mhm.
because their voice is there.
I
So
just got
leave
chills.
those voice notes for your whole family,
Yes,
not just
yes.
so the word, because you have no idea how much that tiny little sound of their voice, how much is going to mean to you, how much it means to them. So even for your family and loved ones, if you can't do Christmas cards or whatever traditions you're celebrating, leave a voice note
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
just
It,
like
it
it
gave me
trans.
full body chills because it made me immediately go back to my bank memory and be like, do I have voice notes from my dad? Like, and I'm like, I don't think I do. I
Hmm,
don't think I do. And it makes me sad that I don't have access to his voice. I might
I
go into
don't.
my WhatsApp and look for it to see if I do. But I wish I did,
So
you
get
know.
those notes. I know for myself, because just before my dad passed, 2 years prior, he had had massive stroke, so he had lost his voice. So I
Mm,
didn't hear his voice. I always heard people say, I miss their voice. And I didn't have that because I hadn't heard it in 2 years. But through the miracle of all of us having cell phones, and over the years, I would record my dad being silly, goofy. So every once in a while, you know how your phone says, and this memory. And I would get his
Mm-hmm.
voice. I would hear him singing, being silly, goofy, loving the grandkids, loving us. So, yeah. So do voice notes are a good
What a
thing.
gift. Yes, what a gift.
So for manifesting, what else can people, because I feel like just that conversation right there for voice notes and gratitude really grounds people. So what else can they do for manifesting?
So instead of going straight into creating your list or your vision board, I want you to think about how can you magnetize that process. So I think that with the beginning of the year being very close, right? The end of this year and the beginning of the next, I think the first thing
Yeah.
we go into is like creating mode. Like, okay, what do I want to, what are my resolutions? What do I want to get for next year, right?
Yes.
I'm not judging you. I think that's very common and very human of all of us to want to have a better year than the last. Simple as that. But before you go there, do the assessment that you talked about, right?
Hmm.
So that way you can have evidence of the things that you're capable of getting. I think that because we are not tracking that evidence, even though it feels like a small win, still a
Yeah.
win. It's still a win, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that when you go through the evidence and realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I did get the job that I wanted, I did get a promotion or they increased my salary, whatever it is, right? Even if that's not what you were trying to manifest, those are the little threads that are taking you closer to the bigger manifestations. So make count of that, make an assessment for the end of the year, and then start prepping for the new one with the intention of, okay, so what can I repeat, what worked out last year that really, it's obvious that when I was attending networking events, then all of a sudden opportunities were coming to me, or when I was showing up on social media, all of a sudden people want to invite me to their podcast, right? What is it? Start
Yeah.
noticing those things and do more of that if they bring you joy, right? If this is something that really lights you up. And
Yeah.
then I think it's very important for all of us to also have every year like a big goal. And
Ooh.
something like, I mean, I think now for you and I, since we have podcasts, maybe it doesn't feel like, oh, wow. But let me tell you, launching a podcast is no joke. Launching
Mm.
and maintaining a podcast is even harder.
That's so true. Yes.
You are the queen of that, Maria. I think
Thank
I
you.
admire you so much for doing that because I'm in hiatus for now and I can't tell you when my return date is going to be. But I'm
Yeah.
so proud that I was able to produce 65 episodes. And I think that I'm just going through the transition of what do I want the next iteration of my podcast to be. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that is very intentional. So maybe a big goal for me will be relaunching my podcast. Maybe. I don't know. Again, I have to
Yeah.
sit with what my soul is really screaming for, what it really is telling me. Or is it, making that big trip that you've been dreaming about? Or is it finally getting that new job, that new position? So what is it? But pick a wild, big goal and
Oh
see
no.
what happens. Running a marathon. Because even if you don't get there, all the actions that are going to get you closer to that will make it so worth it. Because it's like, okay, well, maybe I did not run the marathon, but I ran a half marathon, or
Yes.
I feel healthier, or I lost weight, whatever it is, right? Everybody has so many specific, particular goals and dreams that we want. But think of that big one. Think of that big one and try to make sure that it's something that it doesn't depend on other people to make it happen, right? For example, I
Mhm.
could go and say, my big goal for next year is to be the lead woman on a TV series. I mean, could I? Ugh. It's hard for me to believe right now. I don't have enough evidence, right? There's
Mhm.
all of these things that we talked about. I think
Yeah.
there's an issue with my own belief system right now regarding whatever, my age, my accent, my whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Limitations that I'm putting on myself that I have to definitely work on. So, see, as a coach, I'm still working on these things myself.
Yeah.
But also, there's a lot of other factors that this thing could depend on that are not related to me directly. There's the
Yeah.
opportunities, the agent, the availability of these roles for women of my age, my ethnicity, so forth and so on. There's
Yeah.
way too many things that are out of my control. So the way that I would select my goal is something that could be as much as possible under my control. So I want to become a master breathwork teacher so that I can add that into my offerings. Okay, that's something that I can do. That's something that I can control, that I can select
Mm.
the course, select the timeline, select the teacher that I want to do it with, so forth and so on. So what is that for you? So I think I'm giving you
Wow.
way too much homework, but that could be a way to get you started and setting you up for success.
Do you know what I find? And it's happening to me because I like to dream very, very big. Like I
Mm-hmm.
dream so big and I'll get, you're crazy. That ain't never gonna happen to you. And
Mm.
I'm just like, thank you. That's your belief system. I totally believe I'm gonna go get it. But keep that to yourself. So don't
Yeah.
be a Debbie Downer with your other friends and be like, no, you can't do that. Just because you can't imagine it doesn't mean
Well,
they can't. Yeah.
Maria, can you imagine? I mean, if you look at the place that I was raised at, if you like if we take a trip back into my teen years and you look at the place where I grew up and you look at the people that I was surrounded with and you look at my family's finances, there is no way that anybody would have say, yeah, sure, you'll be in Hollywood one day. No, it makes no sense. And people told me I was crazy.
Yeah.
And do I have the leading woman role in a TV show yet? No.
Not
But
yet.
listen, but that's what I mean. But if I would have listened to those people, I wouldn't even be living in LA.
Yeah.
So it's like, so
Dream
at
big.
one point, my big goal was moving to LA. At one point, my big goal was graduating from an acting place in New York City. So as you complete those goals, then the other ones become bigger and wilder and crazier, and people will keep telling you like, "Oh no, there's no way you can do that." Okay, watch me,
Yes,
and
it fuels me.
and he's not, yeah, and he's not so much for the sake of, look at me, but it's
No.
more for like being able to prove ourselves that we have the capacity to get whatever the heck we want. And
Yeah.
again, easier said than done because it is constant work. Out of 365 days of the year, maybe I meditate 300 with those intentions. So I'm still not perfect, right? Nobody has a perfect practice. I mean, I'm sure some people are really, really good at it,
Not me.
but
But we try. We try.
but you try and you stop putting excuses and you stop depending on people's external validation for you to do things. But instead, you keep showing up. You keep doing the things that you need to do so that you get closer and closer to that goal. But what I see around me is people full of excuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's hard. I do like because first of all, I just want to add when you dream big, and I've noticed this from my own life, and maybe you're not where you want to be just yet. But the opportunities that come out of nowhere that I wouldn't have even dreamed for myself. I was like, what? What did you just say? I'm like, I'm in. But that would
yes.
never have even come into my sphere if I hadn't cast that dream so huge.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
what is that? Oh, there is a saying for that, but just
Something
trust.
about you shoot for the moon so you can land close to the stars or something like
Yes,
that.
that's a
Yeah.
good one. Yes, so go big, go as big as you can. I love that you said that because there are other opportunities you can't even see for yourself,
Yeah.
but your spirit guides can see God, the divine, whatever word you want to use. And just because that one door closed means because there's a bigger door waiting to be opened for you. Oh, and then there's that saying there are rooms with seats for you that you don't even know you're going to be sitting at yet.
Yeah. I
So
love that so
dream
much.
big and just have courage to dream big. And if you don't want to share your dream with the naysayers, I think that's okay as long as you believe in it. And I think it's important, even for myself, because I've had the experience as a medium where I've had good days, bad days. And if I go the wrong way, I've noticed what spirit does. I have health issues. Like if I don't start to slow down, like the last couple months, I had like severe chest infections where I had to stop doing things. And I was like, I went through a little bit like, oh, why me? Why this again? Why am I
Mm,
sick again? Why am I not able to do? But I realized in that quiet that my physical body kind of put me in my mediumship, my psychic abilities are so much more intense, but they had to quiet me because I was like, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, I gotta do this. And then spirit's just like, you need quiet. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for quiet because I have to do all these 100 million things. And it was like, and we're gonna make you sick and you're gonna be quiet.
right. If you don't listen, and
Yes.
not just listen for those red lights, right? That tend to be louder. We don't have to wait for the big red lights to start
No.
blinking
The
so
whispers.
that we
It
start
starts with
the
whispers.
whispers.
And
And
I
the
ignore them.
whispers And the whispers can also be in a completely different direction. They might be guiding you towards the thing. So
Yes.
when we were talking about the synchronicities, when we were talking about the angel numbers, when we were talking about these coincidences, these smells in the air, whatever, however is it that you receive messages from spirit, pay attention because that's usually telling you you are on the right track. You just got to
Yeah.
keep at it, right? For me, it comes a lot. I think you and I have talked about this before. Dreams.
Yes.
Usually I get these messages through dreams. Like I get a very clear message, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay. And it's usually either my dad or someone that of big significance come in and tell me. Sometimes they don't even say it. They just stare at me and
Yeah.
they just either hold my hand or look at me, and it's almost like a nod, like, okay, keep pushing, or
Yes.
keep, you just understand that it's almost like a telepathic message that you're
Yeah.
seeing each other and getting the information that you need. And I wake up feeling like, thank you, God. Thank you, Dad. I needed that. Okay, I'll keep at it. I don't know when it's gonna show up, but I know that you're telling me to stay in the course. Because the only thing that can happen if you move away from the course, that's when you will have the security that is not gonna happen. So
Yeah.
stay on it, whatever that means for you, and trust that at the right timing the thing will happen. And in the meantime, reconnect to that sense of joy, reconnect with that sense of wonder, with that sense of excitement, with that sense of how are you going to feel when you get the thing? What are those elevated emotions? Is it gratitude? Is it excitement? Is it complete crazy joy? What are those? And why can't you start feeling those now? Why do you have to wait for that? So I'm going to
Yeah.
reiterate that because I feel like a lot of us are just waiting and not enjoying life because we haven't manifested the thing we want. So you're going to manifest more if you start feeling it before it happens.
Yeah, and have fun with it. And you
Mm.
know what? I'm so mindful of our time because I love having you on. I can't wait for you to come back again. But before we go, can you let our listeners and viewers know what's coming up next?
Thank you for asking that. I'm in the middle of creating an abundance reset. I'm going to call it like a abundance reset challenge or something along those lines because we are innately abundant. And I think many of us are walking around with our heads down, feeling that we either don't deserve it or that we don't have enough or that we are not enough, when in the contrary, we are meant to have everything that we want. So, like I was telling you a little earlier, I'm trying to track down the things that have worked out for me in the past. And I want to share that with everybody, right? So, I'm going to do that in a form of a challenge, probably like a 30-day challenge. I'm in the middle of working on it, and it's going to be a combination of some video instruction with some exercises, with daily mantras, and then
Yeah.
hopefully the whole process will click for people. And when I did this exercise for myself, my husband and I did it together at the around this time last year, actually, probably October, November. And by the end of the challenge, like literally like a week or two later, we both ended up getting a commercial together. We never worked together. Usually he booked something, I booked something, and then it's like, great, good for you, good for you. But this is the first time in years that they're like, we want both of you in the same commercial, which is like the biggest gift. And we got to travel to New Mexico and worked in a super fun production. And it was a great gift, especially right before the holidays. And we
Yeah.
know when we were tracing back, what were we doing right before this? It was like, oh, it was the abundance exercises daily, daily writings for 30 days. So I'm gonna put that together into a very easy digestible, not a course. It's literally like a quick daily challenge that you can easy practice it, and
Yeah.
that hopefully you can commit to it and by the end experience the type of results that you're expecting.
Oh my goodness, that sounds super exciting. I'm
Yeah.
super excited for you. I'm already ready to manifest my next big dream. After talking
Yes.
to you, I can feel just being with you, like, oh my goodness, the energy that you exude, that it's so contagious. So I'm so grateful for that. And I hope you guys that are listening or watching this, that you feel how contagious and expansive
Mm,
your energy is, and I invite you to work with her. And
thank
I
you.
want to say thank you so much, Adaver, for being with us today. I'm going to have all of her contact information. Don't forget to give her a follow. She's on Instagram. Her podcast is also on Instagram. You have a website. What other social media platforms are you on?
I pretty much use Instagram for all my, yeah, I mean, all of them,
Perfect.
but I'm active on Instagram pretty much.
Okay, I'm going to have all of those links for you guys to follow and check her out. Thank you so much. Wishing everybody an awesome, amazing day. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.